Excellency John Dramani Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana and the African Union champion for the theme of the year on reparent. Ladies, this short statement on behalf of His Excellency Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, Chairperson of the African Union Commission. I quote, "The African Union expresses deepest appreciation for the warm welcome and generous hospitality extended to us by His Excellency President John Mahama, his government, and the wonderful good people of the Republic of Ghana. The city of Accra, nations. It's also the most fitting host of the 13th high-level dialogue on democracy, human rights, and governance. Ghana, as the Minister of Foreign Affairs stated, has in its DNA a unique opportunity to bring all Africans and people of African descent together to reflect, to reconnect, to reimagine, to renew, to rethink our shared commitment to Africa's future. It is therefore a great honor for the African Union to partner with Ghana in this endeavor. Our continent is rich, Excellencies, in everything: resources, a dynamic youth, as we have seen, committed women. It is also necessary that the vision for a prosperous, democratic, and peaceful Africa is shared. Our transformation from the Organization of African Unity, OAU, to the African Union, AU, is a definitive milestone, a defining milestone in our history. We continue to work towards a renewed focus on peace and security. We continue to aspire for a united, dignified, globally influential Africa. But as we gather today, Excellencies, the fundamental truth must be the cardinal principles, the cornerstones of our transformation. It is within this context that we emphasize the nexus between democratic rights, reparations, and state building, justice, and collective rights. Healing. They provide the opportunities for economic advancement, democratic renewal, promotion of fundamental rights, and sustainable peace. This high-level dialogue is therefore crucial in our view to reflecting on strategies to address the governance deficits, to address and redirect the impact to state building. The challenges we face are enormous, but they are not insurmountable. We must continue to exhibit unwavering commitment to the African Union's shared values and norms. Excellencies, our path in Africa has been marked by resilience against transatlantic slave trade, against apartheid, against colonialism, and these eras cannot continue to define the African identity. From captivity, we must capture our future. From the looting of our cultural resources, we must define and redefine that our culture matter. Excellencies, the intentional erosion of the African social and cultural norms cannot also continue to define us. This historical injustice tore the fabric of our societies. But at the same time, today, we must renew that independent African states, even though burdened by this history, cannot be weighed down. The first Pan-African Congress on Reparations held in Abuja in April 1993 clearly articulated this. It is therefore important that the legacy of slavery or colonialism, racial oppression, should be in a distant chapter, but as we continue to shape and reshape our future. Excellencies, let me again extend warmest gratitude to His Excellency, President John Dramani Mahama, the government, and the people of Ghana for the excellent leadership towards this high-level dialogue and the quest for reparations. Our focus is on transformative justice. Our focus is on transformation for development. I equally thank partners and stakeholders, especially African youth and women, who participated actively for 2 days in the productive pre-forum held here in Accra. In conclusion, Excellencies, permit me to emphasize that this dialogue should serve as the space for conversation, yes, but also as a space for the catalyst for action, because intergenerational action and in an inclusive manner will raise the bar, will shape the policies. Our former leaders are here. Our current leader is here. We can make a change for a potentially transformed Africa. It is important also that we make our focus about transformative change. The Africa we want is within reach, an Africa anchored on democracy, on justice, shared humanity, and durable global peace. End of quote. I thank you on behalf of the chairperson of the Commission.
The words of the chairperson of the African Union Commission, His Excellency Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, delivered to us so eloquently by the AU Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security, His Excellency Bankole Adeoye. Please, a round of applause. Thank you ever so much. And now, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, laying the foundation on our theme, justice, rights, reparations, and state building, is the gift of the occasion, the President of our Republic and the champions for reparations. Would you please make welcome His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
Thank you very much. Kindly be seated. My job is a very simple one, to open this high-level dialogue. And so I could just declare it open and go back and sit down. But I guess I'm expected to say a few things. Let me proceed on established protocol, but recognize our former heads of states and prime ministers, former prime ministers, to acknowledge our acting Chief Justice, former Chief Justice, ministers of state, our traditional leaders, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen who have assembled here this morning. It's with profound honor and heartfelt warmth that I welcome you all to Accra, Africanism. And our Foreign Minister added, welcome to the center of the earth. He didn't go on to explain why, but it's that the meridian and the equator intersect in Ghana's territory, and that's why we say it's the center of the earth. We're very privileged to host the 13th high-level dialogue on democracy and human rights, governance, peace, and security, an essential forum at a defining moment in Africa's development trajectory. This year's dialogue affirms our shared commitment to confronting the structural challenges that continue to strengthen governance and ensure peace and security for the people of our continent. It also affirms our conviction that true and lasting peace can only be achieved when justice exists, when the rights of our people are respected, and when governance systems are truly inclusive, accountable, and are owned by the people that they serve. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, this dialogue could not have come at a more appropriate time. For far too long, the architecture of African states has rested on foundations imposed during a colonial era that neither understood nor respected our histories, our culture, or our aspirations. The enduring legacies of slavery, colonial exploitation, systemic racism, and economic subjugation are still the financial hardships imposed by unjust global systems and in the fragile governance systems, institutions that we are still struggling to strengthen, but also to shape a different and a better future for our continent, where African agency, sovereignty, and dignity are restored and respected. A future where state building is informed by our context, shaped by our people, and owned by our African communities. Ghana is honored to contribute to this continental vision. From the bold Pan-African ideals of Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, our first president, to our current engagement on reparative justice and democratic consolidation, Ghana has always stood at the forefront of the struggle for African dignity, unity, and self-determination. We believe that unity is our historical imperative and our most effective instrument for achieving justice and prosperity. The Ghanaian people remain committed to building a continent where no one is left behind and every voice is heard and valued. Yet, we must be honest. This dialogue cannot afford to become another ceremonial event filled with lofty speeches but void of action. Our citizens are watching and waiting. Our young people comprise the majority of our population and are growing increasingly impatient. They are not asking for charity, they demand fairness, they demand opportunity, and a stake in our continent's future. Civil society is mobilized, our diaspora is engaged, and our institutions, though still evolving, are increasingly bold and ready to deliver. We must rise to the occasion. In that spirit, allow me to place before you two urgent recommendations. And the first is I wish to commend the African Union Executive Council for extending the theme of the year on reparations to a decade on reparations. And so from 2026 to 2036 has been declared as the decade of reparations by the African Union. I also wish to commend the Executive Council for approving the terms of reference for the African Union Commission of Experts on Reparations and the African Union Reference Group of Legal Experts on Reparations. These are critical milestones. However, we must now move swiftly to operationalize these instruments. We must empower these bodies with the resources, visibility, and mandate to lead us on this noble journey of truth, justice, and restitution. Let this not be another declaration left on paper. Let it be a living mandate for action. Secondly, I urge this dialogue to take a firm stand on the need for legally binding frameworks across all member states to safeguard our civic space. We must protect the right to organize, to protest, and participate. We must preserve the freedom of the press, the voices of the youth and our women and marginalized groups must be heard and protected. Democracy cannot thrive in the presence of fear or repression. The legitimacy of our governments depend on the inclusion of all our people. Governments must exist for all our people and not just a few. Equally important, state building. Widespread civic disengagement is not simply a matter of apathy. It is often the result of exclusion, mistrust, and systemic failure. And therefore, we must integrate political and civic education into our school curriculum. We must encourage public engagement through national dialogues and community platforms. And we must ensure that our democratic institutions speak a language our citizens understand and trust. Democracy must be more institutional. It must not be just institutional, it must be relational. It must be rooted in the daily lives, experiences, and expectations of our people. This dialogue must be remembered as a meeting of minds and a moment of continental reawakening. Justice must inform the institutions we create. This is not a romantic notion. It is let us make this dialogue count. Let us not merely reflect, but let us act. Let us speak of Africa's potential and realize it in our lifetime. On this note, it is with deep conviction and hope for our collective future that I have the honor and privilege of declaring the 13th High-Level Dialogue on Human Rights, Democracy, and Akwaba, and welcome once again.